Alright, my little goblins and ghouls, we're jumping right into things today because for the past 2 days straight, Levi and I have been wire wheeling and prepping the chassis and the engine bay of this car for primer. That is what we're going to be doing. I've saved you guys the trouble of watching us mask everything off in here, mask the car off, do this. This sucked, by the way. I'm not a bodywork dude, and trying to make this smooth sucked. I don't know how it's going to come out. It feels pretty smooth and it looks pretty smooth, but I guess we'll really see. This is not meant to be a 100% like show car. That's not the intention of this car. This car is going to be a full resto that I don't care to drive and have fun with and beat on, so I don't want it to be that 200% perfect. So we'll see how that comes out. The old to give you some clarity here, the old battery tray was literally rotting and falling out of the car, so we cut it out, welded this new piece of steel in, and then I kind of tried to smooth it all out here with some fiberglass reinforced body filler and then a little bit of glazing putty on top. So we'll see about that. Aside from that, everything else is solid on the car except for this giant quarter panel that is literally all Bondo, but that's all getting cut out, so that doesn't matter too much. I have put some rust inhibiting spray in here about 5 hours ago, so this is ready to be primered over. So we've already cleaned this with wax and grease remover for the past 2 hours, so we're just gonna be jumping into things. We need a paint cup, actually. In this video, we're gonna epoxy prime, seam seal, and paint the engine bay and the interior of this thing. Once those are done, we can actually start getting a lot of stuff back in the car, such as transmission, subframes. We can start building an engine to get an engine in here, all of that stuff. So this is kind of like the first step to be able to get the car actually reassembled. Exterior wise, we're not doing anything to the exterior until my wide body comes in, because I don't know what's being kept and what's not being kept. So there's not really a point in touching anything on the exterior. Plus our roof is over at carbon fiber, getting a mold made out of it, so not much we can even do with it if we wanted to. We're gonna be using a 1.4 millimeter tip for primer. Eastwood's epoxy primer. I've had really good luck with that stuff in the past so far, and I've been pretty happy with it. So we're gonna keep using it. I will put a link down below if any of you guys want to try out that epoxy primer or anything from Eastwood. They've been a huge supporter on a lot of these builds that we've been doing, so huge shout out to them. We're gonna do 11 ounces of activator epoxy primer to 11 ounces of the actual epoxy primer. Learn to mix this. Always mix this before you pour it, otherwise you get like a not good mixture. We make the mistake once and we're back to mixing the witch's brew. We mix the witch's brew. I gotta say that, man, it's almost Halloween, so we gotta mix the witch's brew. I'm totally gonna need to order more of this. So we are gonna be doing 3 coats of epoxy primer. The first coat's gonna be a little bit lighter, second coat's gonna be a little bit heavier, third coat's gonna be nice and heavy. I was gonna say, if anyone has any suggestions for pearl paint, let me know now, but we're gonna be painting pearl paint in this video, and you guys aren't gonna be able to comment on this till after it goes out. So, you know, that's kind of a silly thing to say, right? Boop, 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 boop. We are going to go set our gun pressure, HVLP, 30 to 45 PSI. That's 80. That looks like coat 1, and that was about 22 ounces, so we're gonna wait 15 minutes, come back in, do coat 2, do coat 3, and then let this sit overnight. But the battery tray actually isn't looking too bad so far. I don't think it's gonna be perfect, but you know, I don't think it needs to be. This sucks. The trunk sucks, but that's all right. So, like I said, 15 minutes, coat 2. primered up. Nothing we can do until tomorrow at minimum. I'll probably come over here a little bit later in the afternoon so that way it gives the epoxy primer more time to cure. If we can get through seam sealing tomorrow, we can actually start painting tomorrow, which would be ideal. I've got one heater going. If I have multiple heaters, it'll blow the breaker in here. So I've got one heater going kind of in the engine bay. Everything on the interior, I'm just gonna let it sit. We're gonna let it chill. I did have one reaction, like I said, in the trunk. Don't know why. It was thoroughly cleaned. I think it's between the rust reformer and the epoxy primer, but I didn't have that reaction on the bottom of the car, so I'm not sure. I don't think it's the rust reformer. Regardless, it's not a big deal. That's all gonna be covered in sound deadening anyways. But I will say, the more I do this, the more confident I feel, especially after doing the RX-7, like laying down primer now and paints. The painting this might be a little bit different because like I said, it's my first time doing the pearl paint, but laying down primer, I'm not stressing it like I was on the RX-7. The RX-7, I got a lot of runs and whatnot in the primer, and now it's all come out fairly smooth. I know how to use my gun. I know how to adjust the settings. I know how to get it to spray what I want. So overall, I am exceptionally happy with how the primers come out. The battery tray could be better, but I really don't think that's bad for my first time getting a panel all welded up in there, using a little bit of body filler to smooth it all out. I think that looks more than acceptable for this, especially, like I said, especially for that being my first time. So very pleased with how the epoxy primer has come out. Once again, huge shout out to the guys for Eastwood for supplying us with the epoxy primer, the paints, the clear coats, all that stuff. There will be a discount code down below for you guys, but let's let this cure until tomorrow, and then we'll come back, seam seal, and if the weather is good and dry, it's not raining, we'll do some painting and we'll actually get this thing looking World Rally Blue. So the following morning, I got to the shop early and started seam sealing everything up. Now before seam sealing, we do have to hit everything, at least the seams, with red Scotch-Brite to rough up the surface a little bit. While the actual seam sealer will have a chemical bond to the primer, the mechanical adhesion from roughing everything up will help that stuff grab a lot better, so we might as well just do it. We are ready to get to it. Came in this morning, got everything seam sealed all up in the engine bay, all up in the interior, through the trunk, even up on the roof areas that needed it. So I've gone through, Scotch-Brited this with some red Scotch-Brite, just hit it with some tack rags to clean up any dust, dirt, debris, anything like that that might be on the surface of this. And now we are ready to start putting some color down. It is a good temperature right now. It's about 70 degrees outside right now. I've got the heater on high in the shop, so we should be good. Now for this, since this is a pearlescent paint, we've got our base coat, which is our undercoat, and then we've got the base coat, which is the top coat, and then we've got our clear coat. So I'm thinking 2 coats of the base, 2 coats of the top coat, 3 coats of the clear. It's a lot of coats, but from what I read, that seems to be the best way to do this. It's my first time doing pearlescent paint, so it'll be a little bit of a learning experience. So let me go ahead and get some paint mixed up. Still 1-to-1 mix ratio for this. The clear is 4-to-1. For base coat tip size, we're gonna be using 1.3. For clear coat, 1.2. Toss you guys on let me get some mixed up. Toss you guys on head cam. Let's just get at it. This is gonna be a couple hours worth of painting. This is gonna take a little while.
What the fuck? That's supposed to be World Rally Blue? Why is it like gray? That's so odd. I'm gonna trust the process here. Time to coat 2. Alright, that looks like our base coat. Which is weird that it's like this weird gray, but hey, who might have judged? 15 minutes and then I think the next one is going to be blue. I think the color will actually be blue, which will be kind of nice. I made way more base color than I needed, but you know, it's a learning experience for this one. Alright, we're on to color now, dude, and it looks so good. Oh my god, I love it. So we're going to do 2 or 3 coats of this. We'll see. The first coat's going to be light. Second coat's going to be a little heavier, and we'll kind of see where we stand there. Once we get this done, we got to wait 30 minutes, and then we can move to our clear coat here. Just to give you guys some preference, this is our base coat right now for the undercoat, which is kind of like a dark gray. Let's go, baby! I gotta try to keep my spray patterns going the same way since it's pearl. I think that's gonna be easier said than done on the interior. That looks pretty good for coat 1. I went a little heavy up on the shock tower, so I don't want to hit up there again. There's just a couple spots over here where I can just kind of get a dusting going. We'll call that coat 1. We'll probably do 2 or 3 coats. I don't know quite yet. We'll see, but 15 minutes, then round 2. I used about all 22 ounces on that one.
X out, because this shit looks wild. Let me take gun off first. Set the gun right there. Dude, that paint just looks so fucking good. We might end up doing 3 coats of this. We'll see how I feel. Dude, it's like, look at that. Oh, it's like so metallic-y.
That is probably good for color, man. That looks really good. I'm stoked with how that came out. Now, we gotta wait 30 minutes, and then we can jump to doing clear coat, so. Oh my god, dude, I still have so much color left. I might as well use this. I'm gonna wait 15 minutes. I'll do one more coat on the engine bay, because I probably have enough there. Since the engine bay is probably gonna see the most abuse, we'll do one more coat on the engine bay, I guess, because I got enough paint for it, so. Might as well, right? Alright, clear coat time! Alright, so it's gonna be kind of light, tacky, medium heavy.
I'm pretty ecstatic with how the paint came out on the car. I did do the last coat off camera just because I wanted to get it knocked out, but everything came out incredibly smooth, way better than the RX-7 ever. I don't want to say ever did because I got better with painting at the end of the RX-7, but taking everything I learned from painting the RX-7 and applying it over to the Subaru, I don't have a ton of dry spray on the car like I did on the Subaru. Now granted, there is some dry spray and some light spots of clear coat on this on the interior because you have to kind of outweigh the risk versus reward of trying to get into a spot where you might hit your paint gun on something, you might brush up against something, but I'll show you. But dude, this looks so incredibly good. This doesn't even look like the same car anymore, you guys. Look at that glass too, like absolutely no dry sprays. Like I said, I finally understand how to paint better than I did before, and every time I do it, it's a better learning process. Like I said, that first layer of clear is really important to get it just tacky so that way you can minimize runs and go heavier on the later coats. I did end up, believe it or not, there's only one run in this entire clear coat, and it is right there, which is actually kind of difficult to see, and I can wet sand that out, but outside of that, there's not a single run on this car. We got all the way up in here. The interior looks absolutely beautiful. It does not make me want to put in my sound deadening. We're gonna put in sound deadening, but I'm so incredibly happy with how this has come out. This is the best paint job I have done on something, and it's the interior. It's the interior in the engine bay. The exterior of this car is gonna look so freaking good when the time comes for us to be able to paint this. Like I said, once our wide body comes in, we can start doing all of that to get the wide body on here. But now that we have the interior and the engine bay painted, we can start getting things in like our STI 6-speed, our fuel tank, which we just got an 05 STI fuel tank for this thing, and it's incredibly clean. Thank you, Justin and Fernando, for getting this for me. Also, huge thank you to Levi, David, and Jordy for helping wire wheel this car down to get it to the point it is now, because without them, honestly, it probably would have been another week and a half of me wire wheeling and prepping this chassis, but I love it, dude. It looks so good. So I've got my heater going in the engine bay to help cure that up. Like I said, I can really only run one heater in here without popping the breaker, so that's fine. So we are going to let this sit, come back tomorrow morning or afternoon, check on the car, see how it's doing, and we are not going to touch this thing for a couple days to let that clear coat get hard, because that is another mistake that I made on the RX-7 is I started bolting things onto the car before the clear coat was hard enough, and it did mar into some spots on the FD, which does suck, but it's all right. We'll come back in the morning.
found you. A galaxy in front of
It is the next day and the paint is looking absolutely beautiful in here, you guys. This is so much better than what I did on the RX-7. I'm so happy with how this came out. Now the paint is, or the clear coat I guess, and paint is to a point where you can touch it. It is hard. It's still going to take a while for this to cure. Now we need to be careful with what we start bolting up back on this car. If it's going to be screwed into anything that's like clear coat or anything like that, we're going to hold off and we're going to let that cure up. So in the next video, we are going to start putting some stuff back in here that we can, such as we'll clean up the fuel tank. We can get the fuel tank in here and some other stuff. Now I'm still waiting on all my hardware to come back from zinc plating, but I still do have a box of RX-7 hardware because I sent some extra stuff out also. So I should still have a variety of bolts that are re-zinc plated. But dude, it looks so freaking good. Like everything about it, dude. It's like nice, glossy. There are a couple dry spots. I can see one dry spot right in the middle there, but like I said, you kind of had to compromise because when you're painting the interior, you've got to lean in here and start spraying back there, not touch anything down here, not get any dust in there. So it's a give and take, but there's going to be carpet in here and all the other interior stuff, so I'm not stressing it too much. But that is all I've got for you guys on this one. I know there was a ton of painting going on in this video, but knocking out both the engine bay and the interior is a huge step forward for us, because now that we have that done, we can go ahead and start doing some reassembly on the car. We can start prepping our STI 6-speed, our STI driveline to go in the car. I just bought some brand new OEM front knuckles. We need to get some coilovers in here and some other stuff. So even though we don't have our wide body in yet for the car, we can start doing some reassembly, because a lot of the wide body stuff, we have all the basics painted for what we need. Everything at this point is all exterior painting, which we can do all of that at once for the most part. So if you like how the car came out, go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan. But the color of the day today is obviously blue for World Rally Blue and mini blue, baby blue, because this thing will never be as crazy as big old blue, but that is totally okay. It's not supposed to be. But with that, that's all I got for you guys in this one. So if you're not subscribed and you want to be able to put it in one of these corners, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.